Kelley Frank. I run Trouble and Bass Bookings. We are a talent agency for the DJs that are on our label, and I have 7 guys, and we just got 2 more, so I guess I have 9 total now. Half of them are in Europe, and the other half are here in America. Patrick, the captain, is one of them, and yeah.
So I'm Patrick, the captain, and I run Trouble and Bass, which is a record label, an event organization, clothing line,
DJ crew, and now we have
a booking agency. We've been around for almost 5 years. We're based in Brooklyn, New York, and we specialize in heavy bass music and underground dance music, you know. Yeah. Record label started around 2006 by Drop the Line, him and a couple other kids, and it's kind of evolved. The crew has changed a little bit, and it started as a party and a label, and then it became like more like a movement of a crew of DJs along with like an event, and shirts started happening, and Drop the Line's music started getting bigger and bigger, so a lot of things kind of took off from there, kind of organically.
And then entered the picture?
So 4 years later, we started doing the bookings.
But I've been working for Trouble and Bass for like the past 2 years. I started as an intern helping them with their events with like marketing promos, like tattoos. These were my idea.
Nice.
Temporary tattoos.
We're all creative people. We all went to art school, so part of our nature is just to do and make different things. So T-shirts were like an organic thing. We love graphics, and we love making and creating things. So the shirts were kind of the first step into designing and doing our own thing. And from there, we have stickers, and we have slip mats and lighters and
tote bags.
I love that.
Which is it kind of helps the branding. It really kind of put our logo and our label like on the map as far as like being recognized worldwide.
Yeah.
I would say that everything supports itself. I went to business school, so my mind's like, oh well, if we put tattoos on people and someone sees it and then they go, oh, what's that? I started doing the social media kind of things. So like on Facebook, I created a Facebook person, and then the Facebook person people can tag like the Trouble and Bass shirts, and then you're scrolling through Facebook and you see your friend, you're like, oh, what's this Trouble and Bass? And you click on it, you go, oh, you play songs, oh, I love this, and then organic stuff like that. And each branch kind of supports itself. So the DJs that are on our label, I book them, so they get gigs, they get their music out, and we get the Trouble and Bass brand out even further. Things like that. Same thing with like T-shirts and tote bags. Like it's useful things that people use in their everyday life. And then we all know marketing, the impressions. It takes 7 to 9 impressions for something to go through, and then you start to recognize it.
Cool. And are all artists under the label booked by?
No. There's probably like 8 or 10 artists, like Drop the Line, AC Slater, Star Eyes, Flinch, and Mike X the Cab, but like only a good handful of them are represented by us in North America. We kind of started it because a lot of our artists didn't have representation for the U.S. So we're like, oh, well, we need to get artists more gigs so that the records do better in the U.S. So easiest way to do that was to do it ourselves. We've done a lot of stuff from the beginning by doing it ourselves. That's how we kind of like, pushed our brand further, because we were doing it like by ourselves and for us, and had our tag on it.
So it was almost like a do-it-yourself kind of thing for you, and then you realized that you learned something.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Kelley, she did not have any kind of practice or training in booking besides me and then Drop the Line kind of helping out any way we could. She's had experience booking and promoting like events, which you definitely kind of get your head wrapped around what happens, but it's a different monster. Our label is kind of a big melting pot of genres. Heavy bass is a pretty broad description of what we produce, but a lot of our sounds that are released and put out through our label are very influenced by like the UK and Europe. So We have Mike is the Cat from Paris, and then Super One from Poland, and Little Jinder from Stockholm, Sweden, and Zombies for Money from Portugal. So we have like, all these people kind of making their own music that's being influenced by their surroundings, And we are definitely open to hearing someone's take on a style of music that we love, which is kind of like, when TMB started, like Drop the Lime and Math were making music that was very like different and like putting together like different styles of music that weren't melded before, That's kind of like how or why it was started.
Definitely. Always.
Independently, like you may get some new clients with a booking agency that may or may not be represented by the label. Do you care?
Yeah, kind of. We're pretty, selective on what we do.
The whole reason why we was started was to support the artists like on our label and to further push the TMB brand. So if somebody isn't associated with us, but they still like represent us, that could kind of mess with the brand image and not necessarily what we want to do. So like I do have people like, hey, like I want to work with you guys. I love triple bass and da. But like if you're not what we represent and like with our sound, it could get confusing. And so for right now, it's just triple bass artists.
It just takes 1 minute of like getting the right link in the email and then checking someone out, or someone like forwarding a tune. A lot of the artists that we signed, we were given their tunes like through MySpace or Facebook, or someone emailed them in, and sometimes we like heard someone do something and we like
word of mouth. Some people directly reaching out to you, some forwarded emails, tracks. It's kind of it happens.
It happens. People it's the right time.
I get emails and I'll send them to Patrick. I am looking for new people this week, so I'm going to go through Gigsphere. Check it out. I do check my momentum report. I get a weekly one.
Nice.
And I have my intern and I, we dig. We just were looking before you guys got here at Schpungle. Some weird, what was the psych trance down tempo ambient. Awesome. I think you guys need to check out that one.
Now that we have a bookings branch, we can kind of like say, okay, so you have an EP coming out. So okay, when do you want to tour on the EP? Which is what like a manager would do. So my job is kind of like mixed in between being someone's manager in a way, just kind of like helping them plan out like a portion of their life and how they're gonna get this music to be like exposed the most, and then figuring out if they want to come to the U.S. and tour, or if they already are in the U.S. and tour. Putting together like a plan. Like, do you want to do a video? Do you want to, do some kind of weird marketing tool? It's all. We started out as a digital label, so a lot of our stuff that we do is mostly digital. We don't really make any records. We don't do any physical CDs or anything. Yeah.
I was gonna say mine is to, like he said, like the booking agent is to like build your career. So obviously, like I'm not gonna go find them some like country western bar to play at. So my job is to know like where the hot spots are and like where the kids are going crazy, so that they play those parties and get in with those promoters and they get bigger. It's a session like that. And then some of my job also crosses over to managerial duties. If they don't have a manager, I'm like, update your SoundCloud, update your Facebook. Spend like half of our day on Facebook. Like, definitely, like the whole integration of it too is like really important. Like I was saying with like the artist data, and even like with Tumblr, like we were talking about the other day, like my Tumblr is linked to my Twitter, my Twitter goes to my Facebook, and like
a big like waterfall of links, like like feeding each other, so every media is covered.
I mean, most people just like, I have a friend at work and like we chat on AIM sometimes, and like she spends half her day on Facebook. Like Facebook is a staple in everyone's life right now, and like Twitter, I feel like kind of just depending on, Twitter is kind of a different demographic than Facebook, I think, because Facebook is more visual and Twitter is like more simple, and it's more of, I think it's more of a community feel, because you can kind of talk back and forth to your friends, and you can even talk to like celebrities if you can get them to talk to you back. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely like a staple, and it's something we do spend
a lot of time doing.
Yeah.
We're always trying to like, do a couple new things. Like we started doing Tumblr, but just kind of like as like, references, like things that we like visually, just so we can kind of connect with our fan base a bit more. Like, putting up pictures of a vampire or something like that. We all as a crew like visually, just to kind of show, our fans like, hey, this is like what our aesthetic is, or a picture of one of us like doing something funny. But you'll get like, we send out an emailer every week or like every other week, and the most clicks we get is a Tumblr.
Really?
On our link for Tumblr. Yeah, every week it's like 90 more than anyone else.
I would say too, just like as an artist, like nowadays you need to create this personality, and that's where like the Twitter and the Facebook and the Tumblr comes in, is that today it's more of interacting, there's more accessibility with just like people because of social media. So you have to, as an artist, like create your image and your personality and all that, so definitely.
Well,
I think not at all. I think if anything, like it would make you like as a fan or even as a consumer, like even more obsessed. Like our culture today is just obsessed with celebrities. Like people don't have their own lives anymore because they're too worried about what Kanye West said on Twitter and then going to the link to the YouTube that he put up. So I think actually like that relationship, the relationship that you feel with whoever, like makes you even more obsessed and want to do it, because you're like, oh my god, like did you see what James Blake just Twittered, and then like look at his Facebook, like you said, and it makes you want to be there even more. Like it makes them even more of a rock star and more of a superstar, because you're never going to go to Richard Branson's island and go party with Victoria's Secret models, but the fact that we as humans are still visual creatures and we can see that, and you're like, oh my god, like I think it makes you want it even more, rather than you hear about it because it's something you made up. But if you see it, it's tangible.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. We're busy, kind of, building up these artists right now. We have a lot of young artists that we're trying to, mold and put out more of their music, get it out into the world, and get them discovered, and hopefully make them big superstar DJs. So like we've kind of been in that realm of like the internet and
right, exactly.
Like kind of living and trying to make money off of that. That's where social media kind of took place and helped us grow in a lot of ways. Without the internet during the beginning of our label, like we really wouldn't have gotten as far as we've gotten, to be honest. But that's the world we live in. So
is that we have the other avenues that support the music. Like the music is the foundation and the core. Like, okay, we have this awesome music, how do we get it to people? Well, we have t-shirts, and they're like, oh, what is this G&B thing? And then you go to the website, and then like and then you see the music, and then maybe you purchase the music, but at least you like the music. And we all know that live shows is where musicians get the most of their money. So at least if you go to the SoundCloud and you hear it, and then you go see one of my DJs DJ, then you buy a t-shirt, then you get a tote bag.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of, each branch like supports itself. It all goes back to the music, but we have like our different avenues to get the music out there, which is where the music industry is going now.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we're just, well, right now, since we're still in the beginning stages, I don't have like history to go on or whatever. So right now, my personal goal is I just double the amount of gigs that I booked last month.
Right.
And so once I have a year of business history to look at,
Mm-hmm.
then I can have something to measure myself against. And like I also have like very detailed Excel spreadsheets that I can kind of look, and then I can also look in a calendar and see what was going on in my life. Like for instance, we went to South by Southwest, we went to Miami Music Week, Winter Music Conference, and I also went to Coachella. So although I wasn't sitting in front of my computer for 8 hours a day, I was out meeting people,
Mm-hmm.
talking to people, that kind of thing. So a year from now, once I look at all of that, I can measure it. I hope that I can get my little goal of doubling everything, and then after that, I can measure it out and then make a new plan for the next year.
Okay.
And also just to keep my DJs, so that the other goal would be so that they don't have to go have a waiting job, or I say RPJ, a real person job, a day job, that kind of thing, just so they can play their music and like sustain their living off of their music.
Yeah.
Like that's everyone's goal in music, is to quit whatever else you're doing and just do music.
Right.
there's an offer form that I send, and it's pretty detailed and talks about the venue, about the promoter info, like a website or something like that. And then also there's a line that says artists that they've booked previously, and then like any other thing. And then I also Google them, of course. I also get on Facebook. And I don't really, the Twitter thing's kind of important because like if you're a promoter and you don't have any Twitter followers, or if you have a Facebook group for your promotions company or something like that, and only like 18 people like it, I'm just gonna kind of be like, oh, well, it just depends on like how small the gig is. Also, like if you're in middle of nowhere, Ohio, of course I'm not gonna expect something huge, but there's also little pockets though where there's like huge raver kids.